We got to ask a ghost, did they murder someone? You're gonna be shocked at what they said. So I just got back home from a ghost hunt, and I was over in a beautiful, quaint little town called Old Town Spring. And by daylight, it's cute. It has the nicest little shops. But as nighttime approaches, everyone starts to exit the town, and there just becomes this very odd feeling in the town as it becomes one of the most haunted small towns in Texas. Howdy y'all, it's Frightman, and I am here with
Mark from HauntRowTV.
And we're here in Haunted Spring, Texas. We're gonna go find some ghosts, but before we do, I wanna learn what the life of a ghost hunter is like, and we're gonna look at some of the equipment used to find ghosts. Is that okay with you?
Sounds good to me.
So could you tell us how you became interested in ghost hunting?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of it started when I was a young kid. I would just see a lot of strange things in my home, and I was just kind of became very fascinated. It's like, is that something that I'm really seeing, or is that just my imagination? And so when I got a little bit older, I actually had a good friend offer to take me on an investigation to an old hospital. So of course I jumped at the chance, and I got hooked ever since.
And when you went on that, did you actually find or learn anything from it?
I did. The craziest thing that I experienced was almost when I first got there is I heard a voice tell me, hey. I just couldn't really believe it. Mm-hmm.
So have you ever seen anything like, we see stuff like things fly across a room, or things levitate, or see images walk across a room, or anything, or being touched or anything like that?
Yeah, so I've had a few of those experiences. Multiple times I've seen shadow figures. I've even seen a shadow figure here a few weeks ago.
Really?
Just right in that back corner. It looked like a big head just popped out of the side of that building.
Maybe we should go move over there.
Yeah, I've seen multiple shadow figures. Probably the scariest shadow I ever saw was actually in my own home. And this was, well, I was more of an adult at this point, and it happened twice in the same night where I just see this dark figure come walk into my room and stand over me over my bed. Freaked me out. The second time it happened, I got up so scared, I flipped the light switch on, and then the whole light blew out.
So if that happened in my house, to me, that would be the most scariest location that a ghost sighting could be at. But is there any other location that you would say was even more scary than seeing something like that in your house?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been to so many places. It's hard to specify, say one specific place is the scariest. But I'd have to say probably one of the best would be Hill House, which is in Mineral Wells, Texas. They have a demon that's supposed to reside there named Toby.
Oh, nice.
And it's the only place I've ever heard or seen like this in the entire world where you actually have this demon that will scream at you, talk to you, and you can hear it audibly. And when we have it on cameras, you see multiple videos out there of this demon just screaming at people. It's very bizarre, and it's very startling to actually hear it.
So if you hear voices like that, and you've named this guy Toby, and I've been on a ghost hunt before, and there was a ghost named Sarah, and there were a few other names thrown around. Is that normal that you would be naming ghosts? How does that happen? How does a ghost get a name?
So, for instance, like spirits here, like for instance, Sarah. Well, we know that Sarah was a real person. We know that her story was that she died in this location, and so that's how we know her name was Sarah. With somebody like Toby, we only know that because that's what the owners have told us that the demon likes to be called. And it's also interesting because a lot of times you will actually hear that demon say, my name is Toby.
So for me, like, I've never really had a real life experience with a ghost, but what I know about them is what I see on TV. So without calling anybody's names, there's like a TV show that has a ghost hunter, and I think his name is Zach or something like that. And so I kind of feel like that's like staged and everything. So can you tell us like a little bit about the misconceptions that people have based off of TV or based off of movies like Poltergeist or something like that?
Right, and yeah, like you said, most people have these misconceptions that it's all like the movies. You're going to go into these places and things are going to be flying off the wall. You're going to see all this crazy stuff, and generally that's just not the case. most of the time when you're in these locations, you're in there for 8, 10, 12 hours, and you might only get a couple small pieces of footage, or you might even just get one voice, the entire night. You might just get an EVP.
Wait. You said EV what?
Yeah, EVP. It's electronic voice phenomenon. Basically what that is, we use digital recorders. You might even catch it on, say, your camera. It's just voices that are, that audio devices are able to pick up. That we're not hearing with our own voice, with our own ears. And when you go back and you listen to the audio, you're going to hear voices talking to you. Sometimes they'll be answering your question, or they may just be talking to you.
Okay, so have you ever been like physically touched by a ghost?
So I have been touched multiple times. I have a really great piece of evidence where in Yorktown Hospital, and it's almost a Scooby-Doo moment. It's very strange, and I didn't really know what we caught on camera at the time. What's interesting was I felt what felt like a hand just touched the back of my head. But then we looked back and we saw on the footage, I was about to walk into this back room, and you could see what looks like a hand come out of that room and do this to the back of my head. So that's one of my favorite pieces of evidence, because I didn't do that. No one. There was just me and my fiance in this room, and I wish someone could tell me what that is other than a ghost.
So you visually saw this hand?
I visually saw it, and I felt it at the
felt
time,
it.
and then visually saw it later in the evidence. It made it even more curious. Like, wow, that really did happen. It wasn't just a spider web or a bug.
So if you've been touched and you've seen things on your camera footage, and you've talked to these different ghosts, do you just walk into a scenario and you're just like, I'm going to see what happens, or do you have to prepare yourself in some kind of way? How does that work where you go into a scenario?
So it kind of depends on the person. Me personally, I don't do any kind of preparations. I feel like the best way to go about going in these locations is almost kind of putting yourself in the danger zone. And I'm welcoming whatever may or may not happen. But I feel like if you do any kind of protections, any kind of prayers, anything like that, what you might end up doing is basically preventing anything from actually happening. They might be less likely to communicate with you. They might have a protection over you where just nothing's going to bother you. And I'm going into the location to get evidence. I'm looking to have communication with the spirit or with any kind of, even if it's a demonic entity, I'm looking for that evidence. I want that proof, and I want to find that evidence to show the world.
All right, so that's kind of interesting. So you just said demonic. And I'm thinking all ghosts are kind of like, like Casper floating around, and maybe they're going to do a little touching or be nice. So there's bad ghosts too, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And the thing is, and I think the word demonic has gotten a little bit overblown lately, especially on YouTube. Now, there's two ways of looking at demonic. You could either have a real demon, which would be some unearthly creature from hell. But a lot of times, I think people are more describing something that's more of like a negative, negative person, and it's kind of more demonic acting. That's a little bit like just a darker spirit, somebody that may have had something really bad happen to him. And the thing is, if you think about it, we're all just people.
Yeah.
Some people are nice, some people are jerks.
That's true.
If you were a jerk during your life, you're probably going to be a jerk in the afterlife.
I might have a few people that I know of that maybe if they're ghosts, they're going to be more the demonic type. All right. So it looks like you brought some equipment with you.
Yes.
But it's kind of dark here. I wonder if we could find a place to get some light on, and maybe you could show us some of this equipment.
Yep, I know just the place.
Oh, good. Let's go. All right. So what is? Let's see. Let's start off with this. What is that?
So this is an EMF detector. Basically, we believe spirits are nothing but energy, and this detects energy. EMF stands for electromagnetic field. And they can use this device to basically let us know that they're here. They can come up and touch it. They can see all these different lights here. They'll light up. You can see this one is kind of lighting up right now. You see where it's flashing a little bit yellow right now? But we just know that because we're in this lighted source here, so it's just picking up all the energy around us. So if we're under, in a place like this, you're going to see all these lights and electronics and stuff happening. So you pick that up, probably not going to be paranormal.
So we don't have a ghost right now.
No, we don't have a ghost right now.
Okay.
We might, but this is not detected. We can't for sure say, since we have all this going on. Well, if you're out in the middle of a field or somewhere where there's no power whatsoever and it starts flashing, you might have a ghost.
So where does somebody buy something like that?
So there's different places you can buy these. Our favorite shop is called Ghost Stop. They have an assortment of all kinds of ghost hunting tools. Basically everything we have here you can buy from Ghost Stop.
Ghost Stop, not Ghost Shop, Ghost Stop.
Ghost Stop.
It's probably online?
Yep, it's online.
Okay, so we just did a plug. Ghost Stop.
Yeah, not a sponsor. But you can also buy some of these even on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the ghost hunting gear is pretty cheap and affordable for someone who just is interested in getting started. Then you got other stuff that's a little bit more expensive, like the REM pod. It's kind of the inverse to the EMF detector, as this creates its own electromagnetic field. Spirits can come up and touch this device and break the field around it, and it lights up.
By the way, I'm already in love with this thing because he doesn't know this, but I'm a big light freak. So
yeah, got all these cool lights.
Yeah.
And then you also, so they can even touch the antenna and it'll really make it, so they can just grab onto it, and it's just more different ways of spirits to.
And that actually happens where the lights start going off and it starts making noise, and you know something's there.
Something is there. Yep.
Okay. And I assume because everything's mobile, everything is battery operated.
Yeah,
right?
everything is battery operated.
Okay.
I mean, that's the best way to go with all this stuff. The other, probably the most one of the most popular devices here is a spirit box. There's multiple different types of these. This is my favorite.
So it's not a spirit in this box, though?
No, no spirit in the box. Yep. Essentially what this does, it sweeps through radio waves very quickly, and spirits are able to use the radio waves or the static to speak to us in real time. It sounds a little bit like this.
Okay, so why is it making all this noise?
So basically what it's doing is sweeping through radio waves. And it's going so fast that you hear that you're not picking up any radio interference. You're not hearing songs or DJs or anything. So all you're hearing is just the static. So when you have voices starting to come through, it's most likely going to be spirits trying to talk to us through the device. So they're able to use static sounds and to speak to us.
So you'd actually hear voices through
Hear
this.
voices through this, yeah. Sometimes you'll hear very clear male, female voices come through. Sometimes you're going to hear very bizarre sounds, things you're just not going to hear on the radio.
So how do you know that it's not just picking up like somebody's car stereo or walkie-talkie or something like that?
Well, the reason we kind of believe that, because it goes so quickly through the radio waves, that it's just going to be almost impossible to actually just pick up someone's stereo or something like that. All you're really getting is just the static. Like I said, you can listen to it and you hear that all you're getting is just static.
So what else did you bring here? What is this? A cat toy?
So that's a cat toy. So little cat ball. And what's different about this, it's a touch sensitive device. Rather than some of these other ones where it's more energy based, this is just touch sensitive.
So it's not really called a cat ball, is it?
This actually is a cat ball.
Oh, this is actually for cats.
It's actually a cat toy.
Okay.
I'm not sure who originally kind of came up with the idea of using this, but it was pretty brilliant. Basically, it's a touch-sensitive device. We believe that spirits are able just to come up and they basically just touch on it, and it starts lighting up. And we don't know for sure if the spirits are actually touching it or if they're somehow using their energy to light it up. So that could also be the case. I've only seen a cat ball move one time since I've been ghost hunting. Most of the time, all you see is just a light going on.
So this is just like something that you could pick up on Amazon for cats.
Yep, that's it. Just cat toys on.
I could go on Amazon, buy that, stick it in my backyard, and I can hopefully just see it kind of sit there off in the backyard, right? But if I see it start to light up and there's no possums or no raccoons,
bugs,
which I have,
nothing like that.
then I'm in trouble. Or not in trouble, but I've made contact.
You probably made contact,
Oh, that's cool. Okay, well,
very simple device.
I'm gonna go buy one of those when we get home.
So this is a laser grid. Now this has a couple different settings, but let's see, maybe we can see it on camera.
All right.
Essentially what you do, you point it at a dark background, and what you'll be able to see is hopefully you might be able to see something walking through the grid. Maybe you'll catch it. Yeah, you might be able to see a spirit walk through, and it's quite an experience when you see.
Has that happened to you?
Yeah,
before?
when you
Really?
see nothing, you just see something walk right through it.
But there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Oh, that's pretty weird.
Yeah, and there's different settings like that. You can make it.
So this reminds me of those laser lights that they have at Christmas time.
Right.
You know, like star shower or something. Is there anything magical about this that you couldn't just put a star shower in your backyard and see something walk across it?
It's essentially kind of the same kind of principle. It's just basically a light in the background just to see if anything walks through.
Okay, cool. Yep. Well, I got one of those, so I might try that.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the ghost hunting tools are pretty simple, and which is good, especially for anybody that's interested in getting into ghost hunting. They're not very technical, hard to really use or understand. So it's pretty friendly for anybody who's interested in ghost hunting.
So far, it's pretty easy, other than maybe the spirit box.
Yeah, but
that might be a level up for me.
Yeah, and then this is just nothing but a flashlight.
Okay.
Simple flashlight. And what we do, we basically, it's just a screw on, and we kind of turn it most of the way on, most of the way off. So it's just kind of right there in the center of off and on. And then we just ask spirits to somehow manipulate it, and they can turn the flashlight on or off.
So you're sitting there asking, like, you have this thing where it's just about to turn on, and then you're going to ask the ghost to come and maybe twist the end of the light.
Yeah, either they twist it or they somehow are able to affect the light. And
so, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so I said we give it the best opportunity and chance to use these devices. That's why most of them are about as basic as you can get them. Because most spirits don't have a lot of energy. Some of them do, some of them don't. Most times when you go to locations, they can give you a little bit, and so you want to give them the best opportunity to try and communicate with you the best they can. That's also what's good about having all these different devices. That way they might be able to use one and not the other. Sometimes we've seen that, especially out here in Old Town Spring, where spirits will pick one device and that's all they're going to use.
Okay. So I've actually been on a ghost hunt before, and I think it's interesting, or you're making me think of something. So at the ghost hunt that I went on, the person was asking the ghost to touch this or to push this or to do this, but it wasn't like us talking. It was like really loud. And on my way home, I thought, are ghosts hard of hearing? Like, why do you have to talk really loud to ghosts? Or do you do that?
I don't. Yeah, I don't think that's really necessary. I think some of that's more just probably personality for the ghost hunter, in my opinion. And most of the time, you got to just think as just like me and you are talking. We don't have to talk really loud. You can hear me, I can hear you. And I feel like the spirits are kind of the same way. They don't have to be really loud, but most of the time you have to just listen loud because you might miss things. That's why recording devices are really important when investigating, because there can be things that you're gonna miss out here that you may miss them trying to communicate. You might hear voices, you might hear sounds, you may hear all kinds of things that your ears are just not going to hear, and you want the recorders to pick that up.
So you say you can just lay this in the ground and ask the ghost to come up and touch it. So can we go do that?
We can.
Let's go do it.
Let's go do it.
As we started setting up, neither of us realized that the ghost had already began to communicate. There's a few things that I want to point out. First of all, Mark had no idea what location I was going to pick. I walked around and I found what looked like the spookiest setup for us to film the ghost hunt in. Second of all, he comes to this location often, and he has a relationship with some of these ghosts. If you like this type of content, please give this a like. And lastly, I have to say, after what you're about to see, I was turned from a skeptic into a believer. I still get chills just thinking about this night. Okay, so we found this really creepy location, and this is a hot spot that you're used to. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So what's happened out here before?
So this spot is actually haunted by a couple of spirits. One of the most well-known spirit is a man named Pete. Now, Pete was one of the first well-known serial killers here in Old Town Spring. It was thought in town that, was that you?
I don't know. I'm wondering if Pete's here.
Is that you, Pete? So Pete was thought to have done some horrible things to young girls. He was never convicted of anything, but it was just highly thought in town that he was killing these young girls. Now, after Pete died, there was a family that moved into his house. And they had the same routine every single day. The husband would go off to work, wife would bring her three-year-old daughter out here to the yard, and they would tend to the yard, pick eggs, feed the chickens, things like that. One morning, her daughter wasn't feeling very well, so she just decided to leave her at home. She came back from tending to the yard and found that her daughter was missing. She looked all around the yard, couldn't find her, looked in the house, looked all over town, couldn't find her until somebody in town told her to look in the old well. She looked down in her old well, and her flashlight just went on.
Uh-oh.
Is that you?
Okay,
And she
that
found,
is not me now.
She found her daughter at the bottom of that well dead. Now we kind of believe that maybe Pete had something to do with that.
Okay, hang on just for a second. So we got some action going on over here.
We
so
do.
Just so you guys know that all the equipment that we just all the equipment that we just reviewed is sitting up here on this ledge, and
yeah, you can see the flashlight turned on when I was telling that story.
Wow.
You can see the light got even brighter. And you can see the EMF detector is going absolutely crazy.
So I feel like I should move. However, I want them to keep this action going up. So it's a little creepy, and I have a little chills. My hair's standing up a little bit, but okay, keep going on your story.
So a lot of times what happens when we start telling the stories about these ghosts, that's when they start really interacting. You can see that almost went all the way to the red. It is really going crazy now that we're actually making contact and talking to the ghost out here. Now, I would like to see if Pete, if you are out here tonight, would you be able to affect one of these devices? Maybe you could walk up to that red light or turn that flashlight back on. We'd like to know if you're here or if there's any other spirits here that would like to communicate. You're doing a really good job. Can you try to touch one of these other lights? Oh, no?
Now you just said no. Why did you say no?
No, because the energy kind of dropped off for a second, so it seemed like it was kind of walking away a little bit.
That flashlight piece is really eerie. So,
There you go.
Okay.
And wants to talk to you. Why don't you ask some
all
questions?
All right, so folks, this is not BS. This is real, and I am not doing anything, and he's not doing anything. So we had the other flashlight go off, and then he asked Pete to do a few things with these things, and you can see that there's a little activity on the
the EMF detector.
the
Yep.
EMF.
And now look, the flashlight went on that.
Wow. So the flashlights now they're kind of taking so we had actually taken a break that you don't know about, and I was just asking him a few things about what was happening here, and I had told him it was kind of eerie. I said I really got creeped out when the flashlight turned on. Right about the time I said that, the other flashlight turned on, and now the other flashlight is back on and this one is off. So I think we have contact, and I think we have recorded contact live here. I can tell you I'm a little bit I'm still a little bit kind of chilled, and the hair's kind of standing up because I didn't expect this.
Right, yeah.
So let's see what else we maybe can do.
Yeah, maybe you should try asking some questions. Maybe they'll respond to you.
So
Yeah,
you think it's Pete?
It could be.
We don't know who it is.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Okay, so sorry we don't know your name, but whoever you are, we have this REM pod. That's where the red light is in the center. And if you could come and either touch that or bring some of your energy into that, we could either hear an audio come from you, or perhaps we could see some lights. So are you able to come closer to this REM pod where the red light is and maybe just grab onto that red light or touch the red light?
And notice, what's weird now, it seemed like everything kind of dissipated a little bit.
The flashlight went off too.
Yeah, the flashlight went off, and then the EMF is picking back up. So one thing that you'll notice about almost every haunted location is that the energy comes in waves. So you have to kind of ride that wave. You'll have these big spikes of energy. You'll have a whole lot of stuff, and then it just almost like drops off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then you have to wait for it to kind of start slowly building back up.
Or maybe they don't like me.
Maybe.
Because when I started talking, that's when they went away. So
and that's possible. I mean, because it's happened to me at tons of locations where they just don't want to talk to one person, don't want to talk to me, don't want to talk to somebody else. It
maybe it's a younger female, and she's like, that one's too old. I want to talk to the young one. So you want to see if you can bring any activity back, because I'm not doing too good.
So if there is somebody here, we'd like to talk with you. If you're interested in communicating with either one of us, we can catch you on this camera. You can, there we go.
Oh,
you
so they like you.
They like, yeah, do you like me okay? You probably are pretty used to me. I'm over here quite a bit. I do enjoy talking with everybody here. Okay, spirits, whoever is here, you could just talk to us directly on this device and we can hear your voice. Maybe you could just try to talk into it and say your name. Is that you trying to come through? I can hear you something. And hear a strange like sound come
I hear
through.
it. I do hear it.
My name is Mark, and this is also Mark. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I want to see if you can tell us your name so we can actually hear you. I'm gonna not talk now. It's the same voice too.
Heard it.
Hello, is this Pete? It sounds like a male voice. Sound like yes. Hi, Pete. Pete, did you kill those little girls? Did it say I did?
I heard I did.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
That was a direct response.
My heart's racing right now.
Yeah, direct response. Hi, Pete. Pete, did you kill those little girls? We appreciate you answering, Pete.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. When this happened, I'm still getting chills thinking about it. When this happened, my hair went up on my neck, I got goosebumps, and I couldn't believe what just happened. Shortly after, Mark asked me did I want to film some more, and I said, no, I think I'm good. I'm ready to go. So this truly was a spooky experience. And if you'd like to learn more about ghost hunting, go check out Mark over on his YouTube channel, HauntRowTV. I'll put a link down in the description. And until next time, stay spooky, my friends.